Hi hipsters, it's Miss Anae. I hope you guys are all doing well at home. So today we are going to be making Mother's Day cards. I have been watching you guys comment on MP Online and so excited to see how involved you guys are. So we're gonna add a little creativity to our week to wrap it up. And what better timing than to get ready for Mother's Day. So we are going to make a Mother's Day card that's also a pop-up card. So we'll go through the steps through that and follow along. You should have your materials listed on MP Online, but just to go over them real quick, you're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock or any kind of construction paper, a ruler, pencil, scissors, some glue, any kind will work. I suggest not using hot glue just because it kind of beads. And then some coloring utensils. I am partial to colored pencils, but you can use markers, you can use crowns, you can use illustration pens, whatever floats your boat. Most of us have this around our house, which makes it super convenient, and it's really easy to make, and you can make these cards for anything, not just Mother's Day, but today we're focusing primarily on Mother's Day, so let's get started. So, first thing, we're gonna take 2 pieces of cardstock. I am using the white cardstock on the outside because I like to illustrate and draw. And then I'm gonna use the inside for the insert just because I like a little pop of color. So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take both pieces and fold it hamburger style. Get a nice crisp, clean line. Okay, so we fold both pieces. This is going to be the outside of my card, and I'm going to set that off to the side for right now because I don't need it quite yet. So on the inside portion of the card, this is the card part that's going to be the pop-up. So we're going to take the insert of our card, and we're going to take our ruler, and we're going to about 1 inch is what we need. So we're going to split center. I have a cutting mat in front of me. You don't have to be that fancy, but I'm going to find center. And then I am going to take my ruler and then my pencil, and then slowly just draw 2 lines. When lines are going the same direction, and we call them parallel lines. So I have my 2 parallel lines that are splitting center. Then I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm not going to cut all the way through this because then I won't have a pop-up card. I'll just cut my paper. So I'm only going to cut to the end of my line on both sides. So now I have this tab. You kind of want to make sure that your sides are even, just because it'll make your illustration on the inside sit a little funny if one side is longer than the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our card. We're going to push the tab through. You may have to use your fingers a little bit on this one. And I'm going to pull that tab forward with my fingers, kind of crease it, and then I'm going to fold my paper back this way. I'm just going to kind of run my hand over it so it's nice and smooth. And then now you can see I have this nice little shelf that I'm going to put my illustration on. So the illustration I chose, and if you look at what I have attached on Facebook, we have some illustrations that I have made personally that are attached to this instructional handout, or you can just make your own illustration. So mine says, "Grandma, you're tea-rific," because my grandma really likes tea parties, and I kind of went with that. So what I did is I illustrated it. If you use mine, just cut it out, and then just color it. So I've already pre-colored some of this, and you want to make sure that you are coloring your illustration before you are gluing it onto the tab of your card, because if you do it and then you try to color it while the glue is wet, then most of the time if you're using markers or other things, it will kind of bubble or bleed, and you don't really want to do that. So I'm just going to quickly kind of finish up my illustration. My grandma's favorite color is purple, and on Mother's Day when we were kids, and we all lived in Missouri, she would host a Mother's Day tea party for all of grandmothers and moms and kids, and she'd get all fancy with a hat and we'd have a tea party together. So I have some tea sandwiches down here. I have some scones. Scones are really yummy with jam. My favorite flavor of jam is strawberry. So I'm gonna make my jam strawberry. And then I have some cute little cakes on top. So I have an eclair. Do you guys know what an eclair is? They're quite tasty. They are pâte à choux dough with some chocolate ganache filled with a custard cream typically. So they're yummy, yummy. It's one of those every once in a while sweets, right? And then I think I'm gonna make a nice little lemon. I have a little sponge cake on the top. So I'm gonna make it nice and pretty. And again, this can be used with markers, it can be used with crayons, illustration pens, colored pencils, whatever you have around the house. Just be mindful if you're using markers on this that you don't push too hard, because then your colors are gonna bleed. So also, if you can see, I have outlined my drawing and my words with a black marker. So you can use an illustration pen, you can use a Sharpie, you can use just a regular black marker, or even a dark black colored pencil. Really, with illustration, you just want to add that bit of line so you can tell what you have done. So again, it says, Grandma, you're terrific. I like puns. It's kind of Miss Anae's thing. A little corny. So now what we are going to do is we're going to take our finished illustrations and we are going to attach it to the tab inside our insert. So the key here is that I don't want to put glue all over the back of this, because if I do that and I attach it here and then I close it, the glue is going to stick here as well. And then when someone opens my card, it's going to rip my illustration, and I don't want to do that. So the key here is to take your glue. It can be Elmer's glue. I have a glue pen. It can be just a bottle of glue or a glue stick or glue dots, whatever you have around the house. And you're just going to put a little light layer of glue only on one part of the tab, the part that's going to stick out here. So the next part that's important with our illustration is we want to make sure our illustration is right side up, and we don't want to accidentally do it this way, right? So this is called a landscape version of an illustration, so I can do it like this. If maybe I chose a portrait version of illustration, it would be like this, and I would have to have the card facing that way. So since I chose landscape, I'm going to take my illustration and the tab part that has glue, and I'm going to make sure that I line up my illustration with the bottom part of the card. I don't want to push it so far down that my illustration is going to bend, because it'll ruin our beautiful drawing. So now what I'm going to do, since you can kind of see it's already sticking up, but to make sure it really sticks, I'm going to close my card and I'm just going to rub my finger along it just to make sure it stays. So then when I pop it up, you can see that it pops right up, and it's really cute, right? I chose pink kind of because it's a fun Mother's Day color. So the next part, this is where our other piece of folded cardstock comes into play. So what you're gonna do, and you can illustrate this beforehand, you can say Happy Mother's Day and then put a drawing on it. You can use stickers, anything if you want. You can do it before or after. I already illustrated mine, and it says Happy Mother's Day with a little teacup, because I have a teacup on side, so I want it to match. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open my card. I'm gonna take the insert of this card, stick it inside, and layer it up. Now I don't wanna glue just yet. I wanna make sure that they are kind of nested together. And and kept whole. So the key now that I see that it lines up and it looks good, is we're only gonna glue one side at a time. That being said, you're gonna open up the white part of your card, and what you're gonna do with this part is, again, you're gonna take your glue, just a little bit is needed, you don't need a ton, and we're gonna slowly outline, and I want it about a 1/2 inch away from the edge, because if I get too close to the edge with my little line of glue, when I close my card, all the glue is gonna come out and smear, and then I'm gonna have a mess on my hands. Luckily, it is Elmer's glue, so it is washable, but again, just, you know, if you wanna avoid the mess, kind of pull it in. You can use glue dots for this, you can use a glue stick, whatever you have around. So now I have this lined up. I'm gonna make sure that my seams of the 2 folded pieces of paper are together. And I'm gonna fold it over very gently, and then I'm just gonna rub my hand. Just get it nice and attached. I'm only doing one side at a time, because if I did both sides, then the glue may cause the inside to slip past it, and then you'd have to take it out, put it back together. So I would really advise just gluing one side at a time. So now we can see this side's nice and attached. Now I need to do the other side. So I need this side to be glued. Again, I'm gonna pull back the white or whatever your outside color is. Again, you can choose any color cardstock. If you're gonna use a darker color cardstock on the outside, this is a Miss You card that I did. You wanna make sure that whatever you're doing to put your words is dark enough that it's gonna show up. So black marker, you could use paint. If you're using paint, please be mindful, because you want it to dry completely before you attach it, or you're gonna smear your paint. All right, so now back to gluing the other side. Again, I wanna be about a 1/2 inch away from the edge. And I'm just gonna put a light little line of glue, and I'm gonna outline just all around the pink side. And see how I went in here with where the cutout is? I don't wanna have my glue run across here, because then it will get stuck and I won't be able to open my card. So my glue's there. Again, I'm gonna take the white part, and gently rub it. You may see, if you're using a liquid glue, you might get a little bubbling. It's okay, no big deal. People are just gonna be really appreciative that you sent them a homemade card. So, again, it says Happy Mother's Day. There's my little teacup. I open it up, and it says, Grandma, you're terrific. And I have my little illustration, and both sides are now adhered together, so they won't come apart. So now I can add a personal message. On the inside, I can write maybe what I'm thinking about, how I miss them, hope they have a great day, stuff like that. Again, if I had not illustrated this already, I could take this time to do the illustration. I did that with this one. It says Happy Mother's Day. I illustrated it after I put the card together, and on the inside it says I love you a waffle lot, because Miss Anae really loves waffles. So if you need to, take this time, finish your illustration, do your message. Some of us may have pictures we might want to include, so maybe I include a picture of my daughter Ava, or of us as a family and what we're doing. It's kind of a great way to show someone that you love them and you miss them when we are having to social distance right now. So, other examples, you can use this card for anything, right? I can use a Miss You card. If you look, they're a little bit cut out, but I did include some of my personal illustrations in a PDF with some instructions. So this page is primarily Mother's Day cards. There's no otter like you. You make the world a better place. You're beautiful. I also included another page that has more generic ones, get some rest, happy spring, happy birthday. So again, you can use my illustrations or you can use your own. It's whatever you feel like doing. So next step is, after I've done my illustration, I've glued together. If I am mailing it, I need to be able to send it in the mail. Miss Anae does not live near any of her family, so we have to mail and call and video chat primarily. I'm going to be honest, I have a hard time remembering my family's address. So I have it in a lovely address book. Some of us may have it on our phone, or maybe you need to ask your parents or whoever you're with what that looks like. Or if you're just making it for mom for this weekend or grandma for this weekend, you can just put it in a card and put your mom's name on there and have it maybe ready for them. So to get started, we are gonna take our forever stamp. And if you can see, so this is going to be facing you guys. This is a greeting card size envelope, so that's what's gonna fit if you use cardstock. I like to get the ones that are pre-sealed because I don't like licking envelopes. I find them yucky. So we're gonna add our stamp. If you're not including any pictures or like jewelry or something that you're making, really one stamp should be sufficient. You shouldn't have to worry too much. So what I am going to do is take my pen and I'm going to write her address. So my grandmother's name is Dottie. So in the center of my envelope, I'm gonna put her first name and her last name. And the next line, I am going to put her address. And this can be someone's house, this can be a P.O. box, this can be an apartment number, whatever their address is. If you are just doing it for mom or grandma or aunt or whoever is at home, you don't have to go so far as putting their name down. You can, in the address, you can just put their first name. So then after her physical address, I put the city. And then on the fourth line, I'm gonna put, so city and state, and I'm gonna put her zip code. And since I made this card, up here in the corner, across from the stamp, I am going to put my address. How many of you guys like to get cards in the mail? I love getting cards in the mail. My husband can tell you that I don't throw any of my cards away. I have kept them in boxes because I find it nice to go back and look at them every once in a while and just kind of remember who gave me cards. I have cards from Ava, cards from graduation, which was a long time ago. So again, that's one of the things that I hold on to quite a lot. So we have our stamp, we have the address that the person is going to, and then we have our return address. Some of you may have return labels in your house, and you can just peel it off as a sticker and stick it right there on top. So next is I am going to write a message, right? Since it's Mother's Day, I want to put a personal message in there. And then when I've done that, I can pop it in my envelope. And then I'll peel off the top, put it down, and then I will pop it in the mail for the postman and it will get there. And again, making homemade cards, this is for Mother's Day, but you can use this tutorial for anything. Birthday cards, I miss you cards, thinking of you cards, anniversary cards, whichever. You can really kind of put your own stamp on it. Again, I'm glad to bring you some creativity this week. I'm so excited to see what you guys have been doing on MP Online, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a happy Mother's Day. Bye.